morning, everyone. We're gonna do a very gentle flow today, and we're gonna start in a child's pose. So if you want to get on your mat and just kneel in a comfortable position. You can also use a blanket if you want underneath your knees. I'll demonstrate that. Where you can either put it underneath your shins and sort of float your knees if it's uncomfortable for your knees, or if you can actually put your knees on the blanket if you need a little bit more cushioning. In our child's pose, you can have your knees together, or you can have them slightly wider. Just see what feels good to you. So if you like, you can have your toes touching and your knees kind of out to the side. And then we're going to just kind of fold forward into a place where you feel comfortable and supported. Sometimes it's nice to put a block underneath your forehead when you first get started, or some type of maybe a pillow or something underneath your forehead, just as we start to ease down into the position. And then if your legs are apart, notice as you start to come into breathing that the belly will move and the rib cage will move, and even the back of the rib cage will kind of open up just a bit as you're breathing in. And then as you breathe out, you'll notice that everything starts to kind of come back to center. If your knees are together, you're going to notice that your belly doesn't move much, but you'll feel more of that movement into the outside of the ribs and the back of the ribs, and probably a little bit more into the pelvic floor area between the sit bones. So I invite you to close your eyes and start to come into that awareness of breath. If your forehead is resting on the mat, or if it's resting on a block or on your forearms, roll your head from side to side as we start to kind of open up that sixth chakra, our area of intuition, our sort of third eye, if you will. That inner witness, where we're going to be just really observing our thoughts, our sensations, our emotions as we go through the practice this morning. And after you've rolled your head from side to side a few times, just come back to rest in the center and set an intention for your class today. We'll offer up a special intention for Sherry, who's having surgery tomorrow. And when we set an intention, we just come back to that awareness of what we're offering our energy to today: for healing, for relief of suffering, for an end to pain, for our friends and our loved ones, and for just really for the world right now. And then if it's comfortable to you and you've had a block underneath your forehead, go ahead and remove the block. And we're going to walk your hands over to the right side. So see if you can keep your sit bones really in contact with your heels, or drawing down towards the floor. And as your left hand moves towards the right, notice that there's a nice stretch through the left side of the body. And breathe into that space. If your forehead is floating now, you can just bend your right arm just a little bit and rest your forehead on that forearm. And maybe with that support of your head and your neck, you can reach just a little bit further with that left hand, still drawing that left sit bone towards the earth. And the breath exists between those two extreme movements. Always there, always present. And then we'll bring our arms back to center. Maybe reaching your fingers just a little bit longer on the mat. And then we'll walk our hands over to the left side. Again, making a little shelf with your left arm for your forehead, if that feels good. And then walking that right hand over to the left side. Keeping the right sit bone drawing down towards the earth. And we breathe into that space. Think about the invitation that's always there to breathe. And we'll take one more breath here, really observing, noticing where the breath goes in our body. And then come back to center, maybe reaching your fingers just a little bit longer again. Tuning into the rhythm of your breath, the texture of your breath. Maybe the depth. And start to see if you can exhale just a little bit longer than you inhale. And in that breath, we find the pauses, we find the spaciousness. We find a calm center to all the things that are going on in our life. And then from this child's pose, if your knees were wide, bring them closer together so they're right underneath the hips. You can still keep the blanket underneath your knees. And we're coming into a puppy pose. So again, find a place where your shoulders feel comfortable. You might even want to cross your forearms and rest your forehead on your wrist. And then take your hips over to the right, just lengthening out, again, the left side of the body. And then come back to center and shift your hips over to the left, lengthening through the right side of the body. Notice that that right elbow pressing down as the hips move away from that side really helps to open up space. And then we'll come back to center. We'll do that 2 more times to each side. Just notice the movement away from center, the grounding of the upper body. And just go at your own pace. And I call this a tail wag, as we just sort of move the hips from side to side. Again, opening up space, which is really one of the main benefits of yoga on the physical body, is that we open up this space in the tissues to allow blood to flow. And after you finish your third one, just come back to center. And then we'll go ahead and take the left arm. We're going to thread it right underneath the right shoulder, coming into a thread the needle. So your head's going to turn and you'll rest on the left side of your head, facing that left hand. And symbolically here, just noticing that energy coming into that outstretched hand. We ask, we receive. We feel that light energy just coming into the hand. And then as you are feeling that, and notice the energy moving up the left arm through that heart center, and then reaching with the right arm, palm down, giving back. So the symbolism of this pose is so rich to me. That we receive, we flavor it with our own intentions, and then we give back. And in the middle of all of that, notice the breath. Breathe in and we breathe out. And then bring your right hand a little bit closer to your body so you have some leverage to push up. We'll come into just a tabletop for just a moment, and then we're going to reach that right arm underneath the left. and come to twist the other way. And if you like that symbolism of receiving and then giving, see if you can close your eyes and breathe in and breathe out as you appreciate the coming and the going. That they're two sides of the same coin. While you're appreciating that energetic flow of prana, notice the physical body as it starts to open up and soften and receive. Just a little bit more. Take one more breath here. And then bring the left hand in a little closer to your body as you press through that left hand, and we'll come up into a tabletop. Now, if you don't want the blanket underneath your knees, if you have it there, just go ahead and remove it now. And come into a nice solid table here with the wrists, the elbows, and the shoulders nicely stacked. The knees are underneath the hips. And we'll start with a cat and cow. So allow your belly to drop down, allow your head to come up. Notice here that the shoulders can kind of pull down the back just a bit to lengthen through the neck. This is the inhale. And then on the exhale, tuck under, bring the crown of the head down, pushing with the hands and tucking the tail under. And then we'll inhale to release that, bringing the head up, bringing the tailbone up towards the ceiling. And this time, see if you can contract Mula Bandha, the pelvic floor muscles, as you tuck under and bring the crown of the head down towards the earth. Pushing the earth away, keep Mula Bandha really tight here. Then we'll inhale to release that, come up for air. And we'll exhale, gently tuck under, bringing the crown of the head down. Tightening Mula Bandha. And then we'll inhale as we come back to a neutral spine position. I'm going to have you bring your toes under. So we're going to stretch into the arches of the feet. So the bottom of the toes are on the mat and you're still in this tabletop position, but push with the hands as the hips come back towards the heels. And see if you can feel a stretch through the arches of the feet. So we inhale as we come back, and we'll exhale as we come forward, back into our table. So we'll inhale back, and then see if you can, again, contract Mula Bandha as you exhale and come forward. Good, and then we'll inhale back, releasing Mula Bandha. Breathe into the space of the pelvic floor. And then exhale, gently squeeze as you come forward. And then we'll put the toes, the top of the feet back down, and we'll just shift the hips from side to side, kind of doing that tail wag once again in the tabletop position. And once you've done that about 2 or 3 times to each side, bring your hands about 6 inches in front of the shoulders, maybe 8. Tuck the toes under again, and we're going to inhale back, this time pushing strongly with those hands and almost coming into an extended puppy pose. And then as you exhale, gently squeeze the pelvic floor muscles. We're going to come to where the shoulders are right over the wrists once again. You'll feel those bigger abdominal muscles start to kick in. So we'll inhale back. We'll exhale, gently squeeze Mula Bandha as we come forward, 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 forward. See if you can keep that neutral spine position. Inhale back again. And then exhale, gently squeeze Mula Bandha, coming forward. And then if you like, we're going to lift up the right leg, lift up the left leg, and come into a plank. Hold this for about a breath cycle. And then we'll lower the knees down and we'll come back once again, releasing Mula Bandha as we open up. Exhale, gently squeeze Mula Bandha as you come forward, lifting up the legs into your plank pose. Take a breath here, full breath cycle, and then we'll exhale, bring the knees down. Inhale, bring the hips back. Exhale one more time, coming forward into our plank. You can always stay on your knees if you like. If you want to, come with me. We're going to lift the hips up. And now we're going to try to hold that for 2 breath cycles. Keeping those arms nice and strong. See if you can keep some awareness on Mula Bandha. And then we'll lower the knees down and we'll come back. Place the tops of the feet down again and come into a child's pose once again. So kind of coming back to where we started. We're just trying to ease into the practice this morning. Starting to find that resiliency in the nervous system as we start slow and build up some heat and then coming back to rest. So let's take one more breath here. Notice the shoulders being just a little bit more open, the sit bones reaching for the heels. And then start to walk your hands back. And we're going to come up into sort of a modified hero's pose for just a minute. And then we're going to come up into a high kneeling position with your hands on your pelvis here, elbows out to the side. And then start to bring the elbows back together. Feel the squeeze between the shoulder blades. And then lift the sternum up towards the ceiling. Allow the head to roll back if that's comfortable to the neck. If that's not enough support for your lower back, you can place your hands in your lower back and give yourself just a little bit more support, a little bit more vigorous opening to the shoulders here. Take one more breath. And then exhale, we'll come back to sit on the heels. So everybody put their hands with the heel of the hand in the low back. And we'll come all the way up this time, not easing into it as much, but just coming into the full pose as we inhale, opening up the front of the body, allowing the head to drop back. And then we'll exhale as we come back down. And then we'll inhale again, lifting up, opening up the front of the body. Find that nice back bend. And then exhale, come back down. We'll do one more time. So inhale up. This time, find that place where you can maybe reach up one arm. And then exhale, bring it down. Staying in the back bend if that's okay with your back. Inhale the other arm up. Exhale it down. And then coming back more into a neutral spine position with your hands still on your high hip here, on the top of your pelvis. We're going to take the right foot forward and come into a lunge. So stretching into our hip flexors. This time we're stretching into the left side. We're going to tuck the tailbone under just a bit as we lunge forward into the right leg, the knee. Trying to get the knee poised right over the ankle here. And we notice the breath here, as we do in all poses. We come to that sort of still point where we're aware of breath. And then bring your hands back into your heart center, and we'll lift those arms up towards the ceiling, reaching for the top of the ceiling first, so feeling that length through the spine, and then finding a little bit more of an openness through the chest as the sternum lifts up towards the ceiling. Fingers extended and reaching. And we'll take one more breath here as we reach just a little bit higher. On the exhale, the hands come down to frame the right foot. And we're coming into a little bit of a low runner's lunge. Now this is where you might, if you have a block handy, want to grab it and put it right inside that right foot. Put your left hand on the block and press down firmly as you lift the right arm up towards the ceiling. So coming into a little bit of a twist here. The gaze, the drishti, up at the fingers. Breathe in and breathe out, reaching just a little bit more. If you don't have a block handy, you can use just anything. You can use a book or something where you can, it just helps you have a little bit longer arm here. You breathe in and breathe out one more time, really find some length and openness through the heart. And then we'll exhale, bring the right hand down. If you want to keep the block, you can. If you want to move it out of the way now, we're going to take the right hand inside the right foot. So really power up the right knee and the right shoulder as we start to open up the other way. So again, finding some openness here. As the right hand presses down, the left hand reaches up, the drishti towards the fingers on the left. And we breathe in and breathe out. One more breath here. And then we'll exhale, bring the hands down. Bring the right hand back on the outside of the right foot. We're going to start to sort of sit back onto the left heel, pointing down the toes on the left. Just really pressing them firmly down into the mat. And you'll feel a pretty intense stretch through the right hamstring. We're starting to lengthen out that right leg some. The hands are there for support. The trunk is staying long. And come back to notice breath work. Anytime we find that our breath is stopped, it's time to sort of ease out of the pose. Gone a little bit too far there. And then coming back into your low runner's lunge, we're going to take that right hand inside the right foot again. Both hands now inside the right foot. And we're going to start to allow the right knee to just sort of drop out to the side. So this is a lizard pose, and it's early now, so don't go crazy. Just allow it to sort of open up as much as you feel comfortable doing. If you've already warmed up today and you're already feeling sort of open, you can try to come down onto the forearms. But remember that your body is giving you signals all the time. And it's okay to feel some stretching, but we don't want to feel a lot of pain with any of our yoga poses. So find a place where you can breathe, where you can enjoy a stretch. And breathing in and breathing out. We'll come back up onto your hands. And then take your right hand back on the outside of the right foot. Move the left hand out to the side just a bit so you have a little bit of movement. And we're going to take the right foot and walk it over towards the left hand. The left hand. And then we're going to start to open up into a really gentle pigeon. So again, this is an opportunity to put a block underneath your hip. And find that place where you get a little bit more of an extreme hip opener here. You can stay up, so you're in an extended pigeon, or you can start to walk your arms down and come down onto your forearms. Again, listen to your body. Find a place where you can breathe easily. Breathing is always the way that you check in to see if you're pushing too hard. Can't breathe. Find a place where you can breathe. And start to witness the air moving in, the air moving out. Notice that ease of breath can coexist with the sensation of stretching. They're both present. We'll take one more breath here. And then we'll walk up onto the hands again. Lift up off of your block, lift up off your right hip. We'll come back with the right foot, and then we'll bring the right knee back to join the left knee. We'll come back into our tabletop and just shift our hips from side to side, coming into that tail wag again. And then walking your hands back, we come back into our high kneeling. Find a place where your hands can rest on the top of the pelvis, and we'll step forward with your left foot. So once we find that place where your left foot is in front, we're going to tuck the tail under just a bit, drawing that tailbone down towards the mat, and we're going to ease forward into our low lunge. Feeling the stretch now in the front of the right hip. Bring our hands back to heart center. Lift up the arms. And find a little bit more of a back bend here. A little more length through the spine as we're grounding down through the left foot, through the right shin, the top of the right foot, our base, everything else lifting up. And then we'll come open to the right, to the left side, bringing the fingertips forward and back. Drop the right hand down, lift the left arm up. On the other side, we used a block, or at least I did. So if you want to press down with the right hand, you'll notice that that gives you just a little bit more openness through the chest, a little bit more room for that left arm to lift up. And we breathe. There's a place where the right arm is pressing, the left arm is lifting. The gaze can be up at those left fingertips. Take another breath in here. Exhale, and we'll bring the arm down. Both hands on either side of that left foot. Let's start to sit back onto the right heel, pressing the left toes down, really engaging the feet, the muscles in the back of the calf and in the bottom of the foot. So stretching to those left hamstrings. Find a place where you can breathe. Come back to that witness. Inner witness, noticing that many sensations can exist at the same time. Some pleasant, some unpleasant. They all belong. And then coming back over that left foot, take the left hand inside the left foot. Right hand first, maybe to the high hip, to the crest of the ilium here. Notice how your left shoulder and your left knee can sort of support each other. Find that length as you rotate open and then lift up the right arm. Again, the drishti here up towards that right hand, if that's comfortable to your neck. Find a place where you're able to notice the powerful strength of the left arm, the strength of that left leg. The reaching and the opening, finding space through the heart center. And then there's the breath, always there. Take one more breath here. And then we exhale, we bring the right hand down. Both hands are now inside the left foot, and we'll go ahead and allow that left knee to drop out to the side, coming into our lizard pose. We breathe in and we breathe out. We did things in a little bit different order on this side, so notice if this feels more fluid to you. If you like, you can come down onto the forearm. Again, noticing sensation. Noticing the forearms pressing down, the length of the neck, the pressure on the outside of that left foot and the stretch in the left groin. Lots of things happening at one time here. And then we'll come back up onto our hands, bring the left foot back to flat, and then we'll mosey it on over to the right side of the mat as we lower down into our pigeon, maybe getting that block again and placing it under the left hip. And staying tall and supported here, or starting to fold forward. But again, early in the practice, so be mindful of not pushing into the tissues. Find a place where you can breathe and where you can appreciate the stretch in the hip. At the same time, you appreciate the breath. And the breath moves in, the breath moves out. We'll take one more breath here. And then we'll come back up onto our hands and we'll take the block out, come back into our tabletop. Shift the hips from side to side. And then we'll sit back into our child's pose. And see now, maybe you used a block earlier or a blanket or a pillow. See if there's a little bit more openness through the shoulders. Maybe a little bit more openness through the low back. Maybe you're able to find contact now with the sit bones and your heels. Your legs are together. Notice the breath in the back of the rib cage. Notice the gentle movement of Mula Bandha, the pelvic floor, as you inhale and as you exhale. And then coming back up into tabletop, we're going to tuck those toes under again. Bring the arms a little bit more in front of the shoulders, maybe 6 inches. We're going to inhale back again, bringing the sit bones back towards the heels. We're going to exhale as we come forward over the wrist and lifting up the knees into our plank pose. We're going to now lift the hips up towards the ceiling into down dog. So our first down dog of the day. Take a moment just to kind of pedal out your legs. Bending the right knee, pressing the left heel down. Bending the left knee, pressing the right heel down. And go back and forth between the legs. Feeling the stretch, feeling the effort of the quadriceps, and the muscles on the front of the leg. And don't forget about the effort that's going on with your arms. Finger and the thumb, forefinger and the thumb are pressing firmly down into the mat. And there's a broadening across the shoulders. Keep that heart center nice and open. We'll go one more time with our bicycle here. And then come back to where your legs are nice and even and go up onto the balls of the toes and then go back down with both heels. Keeping the arms nice and strong up onto the balls of the feet. And exhale all the way down with your heels. Stretching into both heel cords at the same time. The toes might lift up and spread apart. And then one more time, lifting up. Exhale, digging deep with the heels. Lift the toes up, spread the toes. And then lower the toes down. Staying in your down dog, we're going to lift up one leg, if that's available to you. And then turn the little toe up towards the ceiling as you start to open up the hips bringing that right leg up towards the ceiling. Left leg stays nice and grounded, and the arms are strong. Take a breath here. On the exhale, bring that right leg down again. We'll do the same thing with the left. So the left leg lifts straight up first, and then start to gradually roll the little toe up towards the ceiling, lifting that left leg up towards the ceiling, staying strong and grounded through the right foot, through the arms. Take one more breath here, and then we'll exhale, lower the left leg down, drop the knees down, and we'll come into our child's pose once again. Their safe space. In yoga, we're always trying to build up heat and build up resilience in the nervous system. We challenge ourselves to move into more challenging poses, always knowing that we can come back to the safety of the gentler poses. And so now that we've sort of tested the waters with the down dog, we're gonna go ahead and lift the hips back up into puppy, power up the arms, and come straight into down dog from our puppy pose, just lifting the hips up towards the ceiling. And from the down dog, we're going to inhale up on the toes, exhale, gently squeeze Mula Bandha as you come into the plank. And then inhale to release, lifting the hips up nice and high, back to the down dog. Exhale, gently squeeze Mula Bandha, coming down into your plank. And then inhale again, down dog, exhale Mula Bandha, coming down into your plank. And if you want to make this a little more challenging from this position, you'll lift one leg to the back. So staying in your plank, lifting a leg to the back, holding for a breath or two, and then lowering that right leg down, lift the left leg up, holding for a breath or two, lowering down with the toes, drop the knees, and we're going to lower down towards the mat. We're going to come up into a cobra. So take those elbows, pulling them back together. We're going to press down through the top of the feet and lengthen the spine as we come up, hugging the sides with the elbows. There's the inhale. And then we'll exhale, come back down. Forehead comes down to the mat. We'll inhale up and exhale down. We'll inhale up and exhale down. Notice if your shoulders want to hug up to your ears. I just caught mine wanting to do that. So elbows are pulling down and together. The neck stays long as you come up. And you exhale down. And we'll try one more time. Pulling the shoulder blades together and down. Pressing through the hands. Remember, the arms don't need to get straight. Want to keep the neck pretty level. And then exhale, coming back down. Bring your hands and make a little shelf for your forehead. And we'll come to lie straight on your belly. Shift your hips from side to side. And come back to the breath. Come back to that awareness of how every time we change the shape of our container, the breath, which is very fluid, changes where it goes in our body. And then if you need to scoot down on your mat just a little bit, do that. What we're going to do is put your forehead on the mat,
Put your arms up over your head, sort of into a little bit of a Y position with the arms. The legs are extended. And go ahead and gently squeeze Mula Bandha. Tighten the pelvic floor and lift the right leg up. We did this in a plank, did this in the down dog. So notice how it's different here. Lower it down. Squeeze Mula Bandha, lift the left leg up. And lower it down. And now we're going to flow. We're going to lift up the left arm and the right leg. Give yourself a little bit of support through the pelvic floor and lift up and down. And then the other side, up and down. And let's go 2 more times. Left arm, right leg, and bring it back down. Right arm, left leg, and bring it down. And then 1 more time on each side. And then when you finish both sides equally, bring your hands back down by your side. Palms are up. Very receptive posture here. And what we're going to do now is go ahead and lift up the arms, lift up the legs, lift up the forehead. And the fingertips are reaching down towards the toes. See if you can keep the breath moving here, noticing that the breath will be naturally a little more shallow. All these trunk muscles working really hard to maintain the posture. Take 1 more breath here. And then we'll exhale and we'll lower down. Take that 1 more time. If you like, you can gently squeeze Mula Bandha before you lift up. Give yourself that extra support. Keep the neck long. Keep the fingertips reaching towards the toes. Notice the breath. A little more shallow here. Take 1 more breath. And then exhale. Slowly lower. Turn your right cheek to the floor. And shift your hips from side to side. So we're going to bring the forehead back down, bring the right foot towards the right buttocks, and see if you can reach back and grab it with your right hand. And maybe you can grab the ankle. If you can't find it, you can always grab a strap if you have one and loop it around your foot or your ankle. Then take your left arm and reach it up into that Y position. And from here, you can leave the left leg down, but we're going to inhale the left arm and the right leg up. So we'll inhale up and see if you can appreciate that stretch in the front of the right thigh. The right ankle is pushing into the right hand, and the right hand is pulling the ankle towards the body. So we have this little bit of a push-pull going, and the left fingers are reaching. So notice there's a lot going on in this one little pose here. Take 1 more breath, and then exhale, lower down. Bring your hands back to make the little shelf. Bring the left cheek to the floor, moving the arms out of the way. Wiggle your hips from side to side. And then coming back to center with your forehead down, we'll bring the left heel towards the left buttock. Left hand reaches back for the top of the left foot, the left ankle, using the strap if that's necessary or makes the pose more accessible. Right arm is reaching up into the Y. And then on the inhale, leaving the right foot down as a as an anchor, lift the left knee and the right arm up. Again, there's that push-pull with the left ankle wanting to straighten and the left hand pulling towards. There's the reaching of the right arm, trying to keep the neck nice and long. Breathe in and breathe out. One more breath here, and then lower it down. Bring your arms back, make a little shelf, put your forehead on, shift the hips from side to side. So from here, we're going to go into a full bow pose. Now we're going to do it twice. So those of you who want to do what we just did again, then you will start with the right leg and holding it with the right hand with the left arm overhead. Those of you who want to do full bow will bring the right foot up, grab with the right hand, bring the left foot up, grab with the left hand. See if you can keep those toes together, kind of like we did when we were in the child's pose. Again, there's going to be a push-pull with the legs wanting to straighten and the hands wanting to pull. And then when you're ready, we're going to inhale up. So as we breathe here, we'll hold it for 3, 2, and 1. Lower down, put one cheek to the floor, shift your hips side to side. And then we'll do one more. We're going to bring the left foot up first this time, then the right. Find a connection between hands and feet. And then we'll inhale up, keep the shoulder blades pulled back and down. See if you can really appreciate that openness through the chest, stretching into the front of the thighs. Okay, we'll hold it for 3, 2, 1, and lower down. Good. Shift into hips from side to side. Maybe put your left cheek on the floor. And then we'll gently roll over onto our backs. With the feet flat, knees bent. Let's take your feet as wide as the yoga mat. And we're just going to windshield wiper our knees from side to side. Really nice way of gently stretching into those back muscles that have been working so hard. And then bring the feet flat once again into the center of the mat. We're going to bring one knee into the chest. If it's available, now that we've stretched out your hip flexors, if you want to lengthen out that left leg, see if you can get it flat against the mat here. And we'll breathe in and breathe out, noticing the stretch. And then take your hands behind the knee and lift that right foot up towards the ceiling. So we've done some stretching into the hamstring already. This is a little bit different stretch. It does lend itself well to using a strap. So if you have a strap handy and want to use that strap for the stretch, you'll put it under the ball of the foot, maybe into the arch. And that way your arms don't have to work so hard. And you'll be able to get a little bit more stretch through the arch of the foot and into the heel cord with the help of that strap. And breathe in and breathe out. And then bring the left foot up into the strap. And if you don't have a strap, just bring the left foot up next to the right and we'll lower the right leg down. So find that place where there's some difficulty.
that you're able to maintain a steady breath. Able to feel that stretch through the back of the calf, through the back of the thigh. And take one more breath here. We're going to bring the right foot back into the strap with the left. And in this position, soften the knees just a little bit. We're using this as an inversion to try to get some of the blood flowing back down to our heart. If you want a little bit more efforting, then you'll work on lifting the heels up towards the ceiling and working on the quadriceps, steadying with the strap. And if you don't have a strap handy, just grab behind your thighs and lift your heels up towards the ceiling. And we breathe in and we breathe out. Notice what we notice. Notice how lots of sensations can exist in the body at the same time. And we're going to lower down the feet. Move your strap out to the side. Bring both knees into the chest. And we're going to make some rotations with the knees here, just like you're stirring a soup. We're going to bring the knees into the chest and then away from the chest in these nice circles. We're going to go about 5 times in each direction. Working with your breath. So if you can exhale as the knees come into center, inhale as the knees go away. And when you finish your 5th one, stop with your arms extended. We'll take a breath in again here, and then we'll exhale and we'll come the other way. So knees come towards the chest, and the exhale, the inhale brings them away. The exhale brings them towards. Inhale brings them away. We'll go 3 more times. Work with your breath. Notice that gentle massage to your lower back. I say the breath tells the body when to move, and this is a perfect example of that, where you move because it's time to breathe instead of the other way around. Once you finish your 5th one, we'll put one foot down, then the other, and then we're going to take the right ankle and put it right on top of the left thigh. So this might be enough stretch for some of you. Those of you who want to take it a little bit further, we'll take our hands around your thigh here. Flex your right foot so that your toes are pulling towards the knee. Heel is pushing away. You should feel a pretty significant stretch in that right hip. Now we've stretched it out already a couple of different ways. So notice what you feel. If it's available and you want to straighten out that left leg again and get a little bit of a hamstring stretch, do that. And maybe make some circles with your feet. Using your breath as an anchor in all of these situations, all these different asana. And then on the next exhale, we'll lower down the left foot, uncross the legs. We'll shift your hips, shift your knees from side to side, coming back into that windshield wiper. And then with our feet flat again, left ankle crosses over the right thigh, pull the toes towards the left knee, heel pushes away. And if that's enough for you, stay here. If you want to make it a little bit deeper stretch, grab onto the bottom of the right thigh and see if you can find that place where you get a pretty good stretch in the outside of the left hip, maybe down the left leg slightly, and then straightening out the right leg is always an option. Make some circles, maybe make circles with both feet. Here's some snaps and pops, crackles. We're getting some good synovial fluid going in our joints. And then take your right foot back down towards the mat. Left foot comes to join it. Windshield wiper your knees side to side. And then taking the knees nice and wide, bringing them just like we did with that wide leg child's pose, but this time the feet are going to stay wide too. They're going to stay in line with the knees. And you can grab underneath your thighs if you like. This is a modified happy baby pose where we're getting some nice opening through the hips and through the pelvic floor. If you want to take it into the full pose, we're going to grab the outside of the right foot with our right hand. Notice how the right arm is holding or snuggling up next to the right knee and keeping it nice and open. And then we'll take the left hand to the outside of the left foot with the left arm inside that left knee. It's almost like you're doing a squat, like you're squatting on the ceiling here. So your feet are nice and flat as if you're squatting. The knees are wide. The little extra piece of awareness can go to what's happening in your sacrum and your tailbone. So think about pulling the tailbone down towards the earth. So the knees go one way and the tailbone is going the other way, which opens up Mula Bandha, pelvic floor. And then breathe in and breathe out into that space. Noticing that the belly will move quite a bit here with the legs not blocking it. Don't lose sight of the fact that the ribs need to be moving out to the side and that gentle rise of the sternum up towards the ceiling. And then from here, we're going to bring the feet together into our butterfly pose. We're doing it on our back this time. But see if you can find a place where your hands can support your feet. This is an opportunity to use the strap if you'd like to, so that you don't have to effort so much with your arms. You can loop the strap around your feet and then keep your arms down a little bit more grounded through the upper body and giving that support to the legs with the strap. So again, holding here as we breathe in and we breathe out. And we like to think about, like we made a prayer with our hands earlier, we're making a prayer with our feet here. So as the feet come together and the knees come out to the side, kind of coming back to that intention that we set at the beginning of class. Breathing in and breathing out. Feeling that gentle flow of energy, always present. And we'll take one more breath here. Really slowing down the exhale. And remove the strap if you were using it. Otherwise, bring the knees back into the chest. We'll just make a few more little knee circles here. And then bring one foot down flat, the other foot down flat. So we're back in our hook line position here. We're going to go into a spinal twist, and there's lots of options here. But go ahead and bring your arms out to either a T or maybe cactus arms, or maybe you want to come all the way up into a Y position with your arms. And then what I'm going to lead you through is going to be a crossed leg stretch. If you don't want to do this, you can just bring your knees to the side, but I'm going to have you cross your legs one over the other, and then bring that, so the right leg is over the left. We're going to bring the right knee down towards the floor. So it's going to be a little bit deeper stretch than you might get if you put your knees parallel and brought them to the side. So here, notice that the legs are sort of supporting each other, but you'll get a pretty significant stretch in the outside of that right hip. The dristi or the gaze goes over to the right. So there's a lot of openness through the right side of the body. And as you use your breath, see if you can get a little bit deeper into the twist. Again, if this isn't working for you, you can always stack the knees one on top of the other. And the palms are up. It's a very receptive pose. Very much in receiving mode here. And then we'll come back to center. Keep your arms where they are. Uncross your legs. Maybe shift your hips a little bit. Move my blankets out of the way. So I'm going to cross my left leg over my right now, and then slowly allow my legs to drift over to the right. The dristi coming over to the left. And we breathe. Use the breath to ease in a little bit deeper, get a little bit more into the sides of the body, to the sides of the hip. Noticing all the different sensations in your body. They all belong. And when you're ready, we'll bring those knees back to center. If there's any pose that you want to do before we go into Shavasana, go ahead and do it now. Otherwise, I'm going to invite you to find a comfortable place. I'm going to grab my bolster and demonstrate one of my favorite Shavasana positions. Put the bolster behind the back. This way I get to keep my heart nice and open and keep all that chest opening present. And place my arms down by my side with palms up. Allow the legs to be a little bit wider than the yoga mat. Allow the legs to just sort of drift open as you release all effort. Even release the effort of the breath. Just allow it to be. Allow our minds to observe. Just like you might have thoughts that come and go, just observe them like you're looking at a ticker tape. Just travel across your brain and then they go away. Think of any stories that you're telling yourself. Your to-do list. Even letting go of your awareness of time. In Shavasana, we're in a timelessness. Called the consolidation of the practice. We allow the ease of the present moment to envelop us. Simply being is one of the hardest things that human beings do. Oftentimes we're human doings and not just human beings. Shavasana can be the hardest pose that you've done all day. And we'll start to wake up from our rest here. If you'd like to stay a little longer, please feel free to do so. Coming out of our Shavasana, we start to make little movements with the hands, with the feet. We try to reconnect with the physical body, that outer layer of self. Maybe rocking your head from side to side. I like to say that's opening up the back of the sixth chakra, that back door to the intuitive nature that we all have. And then maybe raising the arms up over the head, noticing all the space you've created between your fingertips and your toe tips. Maybe reaching with one arm a little bit higher and then the other arm a little bit higher. Just feeling that space through the sides of the body. And then when you're ready, we'll roll over onto your side. We'll roll it to my left side so I can be facing you. And then just take a moment to rest here in this fetal position. After every yoga class, it's like we're reborn. Let go of things we've processed. And we're ready to come into a new day. More open, more aware, more awake. So stay with the feeling that you feel right now. Calm, centered. And then when you're ready, we'll straighten out that top leg. Just go ahead and push with your arms to come up into a comfortable seat. So here we're going to just spend a moment grounding through the sit bones. We had started in a child's pose. And as you start to notice that where the body is meeting the mat, the bones in your bottom, and then rocking back onto the tailbone, coming back forward onto those sit bones, and then way forward onto the pubic bone. Kind of draw the outline of the bones of the pelvic floor, back on the tailbone, and then forward onto the pubic bone. Back and forth a few more times in that direction until you come to sit right in the center of the pelvic floor. And then leaning over onto the right sit bone, crossing center and going to the left sit bone. It's like you're drawing a line from east to west. Do that a couple of times until you come to sit right in the center of your pelvic floor in that direction. Once you find that still place, notice how powerful you feel when you rest in your center. Notice how the spine rises up out of the pelvis. Very back center of the head being pulled up towards the ceiling. The shoulder blades gently resting down the back. Notice the movement of the belly, the movement of the rib cage as we breathe in and we breathe out. Notice the relationship between the breath and Mula Bandha. Mula Bandha opens on the inhale. We can gently squeeze and lift on the exhale. This is going on all day long as we go through our lives. We breathe in. We can breathe out. Feel that gentle pull to center. We'll go one more time. Inhaling. And exhaling. We'll bring our hands back into heart center. Come back to our intention. We'll seal the class with the sound of Om. If you prefer not to chant the Om, you can also hum, which is very calming to the nervous system. So take a breath in. The light in me bows to the light in each one of you. Namaste.